Much like Nebraska's corn crop, the state's soybeans are rolling through summer in fine shape. 72% of the crop is rated good or excellent. That's a large difference from this point last year when only 19% was in those best two categories. But with heavy rains in some areas, there could be some problem areas. At last Friday's Soybean Management Field Day in Waterloo, Loren Giesler said he's noticing instances of Phytophthora in certain locations. While there's not much you can do about it now, finding it can help you make better management decisions in the future.
Phytophthora is a disease that can kill the soybean plant at any time. So one of the things that we'll see now, and I always tell people that now's a good time to scout actually if you're seeing dead and dying plants in the field. It is one of those fungal species out there that'll kill them at any time.
With some of the late and wet planting we had at the beginning of the year, did you see that in the beginning of the year as well?
Well, a little bit later, but most of it in the beginning was Pythium because it was cooler temperatures that we were in, and those cool soil temperatures favor that. So that was a little bit different, but now what we've seen is where we've had some dry areas, but some of these really high amounts of rain coming in pockets. Then about a week later, growers are saying they'll have plants in the field dying.
So why is it conducive to those situations?
Well, it's a disease that likes high moisture availability and free water. It needs free water to infect. So that's what we see is usually when we have heavy rain events, or an inch or 2 inches or something like that, which a lot of people have seen over the last few weeks, then we'll see it after that. The other time we see it often is in the wheel tracks. So in the pivot, this is a good time to scout a field, to just walk down the wheel tracks, and many times you'll see a plant that's dead or dying. And then the key to look for is a plant that has that dark stem discoloration at the base that runs up on the outside. And so if you see one that has that dark discoloration at the base going up into the canopy and the plant's wilting and dying, it's Phytophthora.
It is something you can self-diagnose?
It really is, yes it is.
Does it die immediately, the plant?
It's just a slow wilt, but it dies fairly quickly, and you'll be able to pick it out pretty easy. Now the key on it is, as far as management and such, this is something to really keep in the record books, and many growers may know they have Phytophthora in a field. When they do have that and they're seeing plants that are dying, that's where they need to let that field be kind of a bioassay to tell them to change the genes. There's different genes in varieties for resistance to Phytophthora, so they can use that as an indication. And then the other thing is to make sure they're using high tolerance as they select varieties for that field in the future.
When do you make that decision? I mean, how severe does it need to be before you decide to go to something like a resistant variety?
Well, I think the key is if they're seeing just a pocket, many times we'll just have a little wet spot in a field, maybe where water drains or something, and they just see it there. I'm not too worried about it, and I wouldn't expect them to. But when they're in a situation where they see plants scattered in the field, and even a low level of plants, and just an occasional plant in the field, that tells them that disease is throughout the field and it's nibbling roots even though it's not killing plants. So they're going to benefit from resistance if they see anything where they see areas where they see an occasional dead plant.
Other than that, how does everything look? This is kind of a different year. This is absolutely a different year than last year. As we speak, it's about 70 degrees right now, and it's kind of been this way starting every morning this week.
Oh, and it really is. It's really a year where we haven't seen a lot of disease from that standpoint, but just these different specific cases. We're seeing Phytophthora this year. We've been picking up brown stem rot's another one. This is the time of year stem and root rots are going to show up. So that's the Phytophthora and the brown stem rot for the most part. Sudden death syndrome, I don't expect to see a lot of just because of the year and the sequence we've had over the last couple of years.
A little further on brown stem rot, what's to be looking for there?
One of the things when we see brown stem rot, that's another one that is a stem and root rot. So you're going to see plants wilting and dying, but with those you're going to see those foliar symptoms many times that will be evident, like we see with SDS, so those chlorotic blotches in the leaves and such that we're looking for. The big key with that, split the stem. So anytime you see a plant that's wilting and dying this time of year, you really need to split that stem and look and see if you see any of that dark discoloration in the center of the stem, and that would be brown stem rot. And that's another one that you can select variety resistance for.